morning, everyone. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter!
Okay, so we'll be starting off our service with some songs. So will everyone please rise and join us in song? First song is All the Lands That I Love. Next will be See Through Children's Eyes.
Life is pure, the world is new, the sun begins to rise. Love is here and we are free to see through children's eyes. So the truth shall make us free. Why walk when we can fly? On the wings of God's true love, higher than the sky. Fear and doubt shall pass away. His heart no longer cries as we can perfect our love and see through children's eyes. So the truth shall make us free. Why walk when we can fly? On the wings see through children's eyes. So the truth shall make us free. Why walk when we can fly on the wings of God's true love, higher than the sky? If you choose to live this way, joy will fill your lives. We will give our best so all can see through children's eyes. So the truth shall make us free. Why walk when we can fly on the wings of God's true love, higher than the sky?
So the truth.
So the truth shall make us free. Why walk when we can fly on the wings of God's true love, higher than the sky?
On the wings.
On the wings of God's true love, higher than the sky.
All right, thank you so much to our wonderful Nova Church band. And welcome, everybody. Happy Easter. I'm so happy to see you here this morning. Yeah, it's a joyful day to celebrate Easter together, right, here at the Capital Family Church Nova Center. And it's a special day for us, for our community, right? Not only for all of Christianity, but as we know, it's also a very special history, day in the history of our movement, right? Easter Sunday. And we'll be talking about that today. But first, we'd like to take a few minutes to greet each other and welcome everybody here. So we have some people tuning in online. We'd like to wave hello to the camera back there. Say hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're so happy you're tuning in. And say hello to everybody who's here. So we'll take the next few minutes to greet each other.
How do we turn this on? This. Usually you have to turn this on, right?
Yeah, I guess he didn't today.
Yeah.
There's no button?
Wait, you're still waiting for it?
It's okay.
That, I'm not sure if you're going to pull that off.
All right, if everyone can please settle down in your seats. You can go back to your seats and just settle in. We'll now start the performance song soon.
Is your mic loud? Oh. Hello, hello.
Hear myself.
Yeah, I can't really. Hello, hello, hello. Hello.
Okay, if
Hello,
everyone can
hello.
please settle down in your seats, we'll be performing our performance
Hello,
song. So,
Sorry.
okay. So this performance song that we'll be singing is called "There Was Jesus" by Zach Williams and Dolly Parton. I think it's very fitting since it's Easter, and this song mostly talks about just the grace of Jesus. So I hope you all enjoy. "There Was Jesus" by Zach Williams and Dolly Parton. Every time I try to make it on my own, every time I try to stand and start to fall, on all those lonely roads that I've traveled on, there was Jesus. When the life I built came crashing to the ground, when the friends I had were nowhere to be found, I couldn't see it then, but I can see it now. There was Jesus. In the waiting, in the searching, in the healing and the hurting, like a blessing buried in the broken pieces. Every minute, every moment, where I've been and where I'm going, even when I didn't know it, I couldn't see it. There was Jesus. There was Jesus. In the waiting, in the searching, in the healing and the hurting, like a blessing buried in the broken pieces. Every minute, every moment, where I've been and where I'm going, even when I didn't know it or could see it. There was Jesus on the mountains, in the valleys. There was Jesus in the shadows of the alleys. There was Jesus in the fire and
you going to join me for the prayer, son? Okay. All right. Thank you so much to our wonderful band. Let's give them another hand. Thank you. A beautiful performance song. And yeah, so today we are going to be talking about Jesus because it is Easter Sunday. And this whole week, in fact, the Holy Week is the holiest week of the year for Christians, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about what goes on in this week. And first, we start off with a prayer. Okay, you going to join me in prayer? Our most beloved Heavenly Parent, true parents of heaven, earth, and all humankind, we thank you for sending us Jesus Christ, your only begotten Son, to this earth over 2,000 years ago. And we know that no matter what is going on in our lives, we can always hold on to the fact that Jesus came and offered us a spiritual salvation that transformed the world and laid the foundation for true parents to appear 2,000 years later and establish the blessed families that we have here on earth today. We are so grateful to Jesus and want to honor him on this day and pray that as we listen to the message that we can feel your presence, Heavenly Parent, and also feel Jesus' love and how much he gave and offered to all of humanity. And we thank you for each one of us here in this day together and pray that we can honor you with everything that we do. In attendance to Holy Mother Han, I pray this with gratitude in my name, Natashia Phillips of the Phillips Blessed Center family, Jew. Okay. Are you going to go with Daddy? Yeah. Okay, go to Daddy. Go. Honey, can you pick him up? Okay, go on. Okay, children are dismissed to Sunday school now. If you would like to, obviously, you can stay for the message. Are you going to stay? All right. What is it? No. Okay. Thank you. Sorry. Sometimes it takes a while for the clicker to work. All right. So, yeah, my message today is on the importance of Easter, right, and why we celebrate this day and this whole time period. Actually, before I go into talking about the story of Easter, I wanted to ask you here in the audience if there are some things that you do specifically in your family, to celebrate Easter. If you have any Easter traditions, or it could be Passover traditions if you're from a Jewish background, because we also have Passover at the same time, right? Yeah, like I can go first as an example. Something my family and I do that I did with my parents, when we were growing up as a family, and I've continued on with my kids. We color Easter eggs, right? And then we have a battle between the eggs where each person gets one hard-boiled egg and you try to crack the other person's egg. And then the winner is the last one standing, the last uncracked egg. So, yeah, each family member gets one egg and you kind of just, one-to-one battles, yeah. Anyway, so that's just something fun we've always enjoyed doing. Yeah, anybody else? You can raise your hand if you have any memories or traditions you want to share.
This is when I was growing up. My father made kites by hand, and then we went to church, and my aunt made a special Easter dresses, and we would go on the beach and fly the kite. And my father made a special kind called a singing engine, and you can listen to it and hear it, and then there'll be competition. Different people have their singing engines in the sky, and we could listen to them.
Thank you for sharing. It's very special. Anybody else? Okay.
My father came to the church as a Jewish person, so I grew up doing Passover every year with my grandparents, and my grandmother always had a lot of people, so we do seders for like 50 people sometimes. And and this past weekend I did it with my dad and my sister and their spouses. So smaller, but it was still fun. And he got to read the questions, which is what the children do during the service. So it was his first time doing that. So we're starting our own traditions. He found the matzah. It's something the kids have to do to end the meal.
Okay, nice. Oh, and you get money. Nice. All right. All right, maybe one more. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, growing up, we're also big egg dyers. We did a lot of egg dyeing and also egg hunts at our home. So my parents one Easter morning went and, before we all woke up, hid all the eggs outside for us. And we woke up and they said, all right, time to find all the eggs. And we looked and we looked and we looked some more and we couldn't find any of the eggs. It was very strange. We discovered, or we theorized that maybe the squirrels had a wonderful Easter morning that day. So, because they were real eggs, so they were.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah. Everybody wants to enjoy Easter, right? Including the nature. Yeah, Easter is it comes at a beautiful time of year, right? The springtime and, time of new life, right? Because it is like all the symbols that we have attached to this, holiday, like the secular symbols, right? Non-religious ones, we have, Easter bunny and the eggs and all those things. They're all related to, springtime, right? And new life and fertility. These are all symbols of that. And that's because, the resurrection, right, which is celebrated today, is also a symbol of new life, right? A symbol of a new beginning. And actually, when I was looking at, my son this morning, after he woke up at 6:30 in the morning, I'm like, okay, it's just the two of us for now. So I was playing with him and thinking about my sermon, what I'm going to talk about. I thought, Easter is about new life. And when I see my son, I see, a very young child. Like, this is new life too, right? So celebrating all kinds of new life. And it's not just new life in the physical sense, but also in the spiritual sense, right? That we can be reborn into new life. So, so today we're going to read into the Bible story a little bit. Of course, the whole Holy Week, starts with Palm Sunday, right, which was last Sunday. And then there's special things happening on each day, right? Like Jesus arrives in Jerusalem and there's things that happen on Monday and on Tuesday and on Wednesday, but I'm going to start on Thursday to just focus in the last few days. So this was the Last Supper. It's a pretty famous painting you've probably seen before, right? And the Last Supper was actually a time of Passover, right? So Jesus and his disciples were Jewish, right? And they're celebrating Passover and having meals together, right? And this was a room that, was prepared for them. And Jesus had asked, go into the town and you'll find a man with a water jug and he'll have a guest room prepared for us. So, they found a room for this to hold their meal. I'm reading from the Gospel of Luke. There's, accounts of these days in all the four Gospels, but I decided to choose Luke for this time. When the hour came, Jesus and his apostles reclined at the table, and he said to them, I have eagerly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I tell you, I will not eat it again until it finds fulfillment in the kingdom of God. Okay, so you already notice in this time, Jesus is foretelling, right, his death and suffering. And we see this evidence in the different Gospels as well, at least the way that it's retold, right, to us, is that Jesus already knew, what's going to happen. And that the people would not support him and that he would not be able to continue his mission on earth, right? So you can imagine that, Jesus is going through very difficult emotions at this time, right? I mean, later that evening, first during the meal, he mentions to the disciples, one of you is going to betray me, right? And we know that this is Judas. And later that evening, right, the same day, he is praying at the Mount of Olives, or in the Garden of Gethsemane. And the disciples there that follow him, right, they keep falling asleep, if you remember the story, right? In some accounts, it's 3 times. Jesus goes to pray, and then disciples are there with him, but they fall asleep, and he goes back to them and says, stay awake, right? Watch over with me, pray with me, and then they fall asleep again, and then a 3rd time, right? Just to show that even though the disciples, loved Jesus, and they had, the heart of wanting to serve and follow him, right? Even they, in the end, they couldn't fully attend him, right? Even his closest disciples, let alone all the people who ended up rejecting him. And when he prayed, there's a very famous line here, "Father, if you're willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." Right? This is what he prayed to Heavenly Parent at the time. Because, it's not, some people say, it's because he didn't want the suffering. It's not because he was afraid of death, right? But as true parents have explained it to us, he said this because he knew that his death would cause so much sorrow to Heavenly Parent, right? Because that was not the intended end of his life, right? He was not supposed to die in this way, right? According to what true parents have taught us. So, if you're willing, take this cup, the cup of suffering of his crucifixion and death from me, but not my will, but yours be done. So, he thought, if nothing else, he can offer his life for God's will, right? If that's what it takes for people to repair their relationship or come closer to God. And especially I wanted to focus on this last line here, verse 44, where he says, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. He was praying so deeply and sincerely. It's like a complete and utter desperation, right? This final prayer. Because, as we know, right, because we can look back, we know the very next day is when he was crucified. It was just like his last night, right? So with that kind of desperation, we can't even imagine what that was like. And it was, the most, unimaginably painful time. So, that was Maundy Thursday, as it's called, right? And so right after the prayer ended, Judas appeared with the soldiers, and they arrested. He identified Jesus, right? It was the famous kiss on the cheek of betrayal. And then they took him away. And then everything happened really quickly, Nowadays, you have trials and things happen. They take months, they take years. And this was all in a matter of hours, right? They brought him before Pontius Pilate, and in some accounts, they also brought him before King Herod, and others, King Herod is not mentioned. But regardless, Pilate did ask the people, right, what do you want me to do? After he questioned Jesus, said, what shall I do with this prisoner? And it's mentioned in the Bible that at this time it was common for the governor, because Pontius Pilate was the Roman governor, overlooking, ruling over this kingdom of Judea. It was common to forgive somebody, right, and to release someone who had been in prison. So he had Jesus on one side, on the other was Barabbas, who was an accused murderer, right, who was serving a sentence. Here's the other man that is mentioned in these verses. With loud shouts, they insistently demanded that he, meaning Jesus, be crucified. and their shouts prevailed. So Pilate decided to grant their demand. He released the man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection and murder, the one they asked for, that's Barabbas, and surrendered Jesus to their will, right? So at that time, he was just going into the popular demand, right? And in one account, it even says that Pilate washed his hands, right? It was some water to say, I'm innocent of this man's blood. You're the ones who decided, right? But it was ultimately his call to listen to the people too. So I'm just going to say, I don't think that he can say he didn't bear any responsibility, right? But yeah, ultimately, this is what happened, right? The same, right? After the sentence was proclaimed, crucify him, it says they had him flogged and then right away carried off to the place they call Golgotha or Calvary. So in Latin it's Calvary, in Aramaic it's Golgotha, but it both means the skull, the place. And I read that it could be like a hill, shaped a bit like a skull, coming out of the ground, and that was the execution site. Not just for Jesus, right? So that day they had 3 people that they crucified. So there was two other men, both criminals, that were led out with Jesus to be executed. And when they came to the place called the Skull, they crucified him there along with the criminals, one on his right and the other on his left. And Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing," right? And a key theme, on this day, obviously, it's about, death and a great tragedy, but it's also about forgiveness. That to me is like the one positive, if you can put it that way, of the story here, the day of the crucifixion, which was a day of such deep, sorrow and unimaginable, right, heartbreak for Jesus and for God and for all of humanity, really, even though the people there didn't understand. But yeah, Jesus was able to overcome the circumstance by saying that he forgives them, right? And to have that heart of forgiveness, right? That, I think, is what, was able to give God the victory, right? Victory over Satan, because Satan claimed Jesus' life, right? And said, okay, I've got him now, we have ended his life. But Jesus said, forgive them. And he would not curse those people who had crucified him, right? And it took quite, several hours because it was a long and slow death, right? It wasn't instant, like capital punishment is today. So in that whole time, no account ever says that he was blaming the people or, that he had any kind of hate in his heart. He still had pure love in his heart and forgiveness. And so that was the Friday, right? And I know we say that on the 3rd day he rose from the grave, right? But actually it's 2 days later, technically speaking, right? If you think from Friday to Sunday. On Saturday, which is the Sabbath, right, the holy day, and for Jewish people, that was a time that they couldn't go to visit Jesus, right? So there's a biblical account that says that the women, who included Mary, his mother, and Mary Magdalene, and some other ladies as well, they prepared special ointments, spices and perfumes, things to clean the body with, basically, right? But they didn't bring those on Saturday because that was the Sabbath, so they waited until Sunday morning. That is the account in Luke chapter 24, the first 7 verses. On the first day of the week, very early in the morning, the women took the spices they had prepared and went to the tomb. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but when they entered, they did not find the body of the Lord Jesus. While they're wondering about this, suddenly 2 men in clothes that gleamed like lightning stood beside them. Okay, so Luke describes 2 men in bright shining robes, and then I think it's Matthew who talks about one angel and Mark talks about two angels. But basically, all can agree that whether it was one or two, it was an angelic appearance that appeared to the women there. In their fright, the women bowed down with their faces to the ground, but the men said to them, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here, he has risen. Remember how he told you while he was still with you in Galilee, the Son of Man must be delivered over to the hands of sinners, be crucified, and on the third day be raised again." Right? So at this point in the story, there is hope again, right? First, there's, of course, amazement and wonder and just shock, right? Because the women can't believe what they're seeing. It's a huge tombstone that was like in front of, the entrance. And scholars estimate it was maybe 1.5 tons or 2 tons, like a huge, massive rock that, no single person could easily move, right? But it was rolled to the side because it was open, and the body had disappeared, right? And there was no logical explanation for it. And that was the beginning of the women going back to the disciples and telling them, "Oh, Jesus' body is gone. We saw the angel who said he is risen," right? And nobody believed them, right? First of all, they were women, which did not have, as much credibility, right, in that society. So they was like, "Oh, what? You're crazy. You're hysterical. You're making things up." But then they saw for themselves, and then Jesus appeared to them, right? So there's it's just all in this one chapter. So it's just a couple of appearances. But Jesus appears walking with a couple of disciples on the road, and then he appears in a room with them, and the doubting Thomas, puts his hands in the markings of where he had been, where the nails had, pierced his body, to say like, "Oh, this is really Jesus." So there's all these accounts, right, that exist in the Gospels, and we know from a scientific standpoint, right, that physically a body coming back to life after it's passed on for like a couple of days and started decomposing, like logically, scientifically, it does not happen, does not work, right? But it was through, the spiritual power of Heavenly Parent, right, that this miracle happened. So I don't actually know. Maybe somebody here who's more scholarly than me could explain, like, why they didn't see a physical body. The way that my parents explained this to me is that, he was spiritually resurrected, but not that his physical body returned back to life. And then, he stayed with the disciples for a short time period and then went up to heaven, right, at the Pentecost. I don't know. Does anybody know how his physical body disappeared? Who can give me an explanation? It's a good question, right? Dr. Shimio, our theologian, do you have any answer to that? I'm wondering. It's a mystery. It's one of the mysteries. Okay. One of the great mysteries. Yeah. When I was a child, I actually believed it was like a full-on resurrection of his body, because I was raised in a Christian evangelical school, and I had Bible studies, and so like I was very much in tune to like the Christian teaching of this. Oh, you have an explanation? No. Please go ahead. Maybe a theory.
No, there's been cases that people's been pronounced dead, and then 2 days later they came back, and it's been documented by, the New England Journal of Medicine. Yeah, so and they cannot explain themselves why, but they came back and they're full. The testimonies are still there if you search. Okay. That's all I can say.
All right. Wow. So there have been other cases. Yeah. These are mysterious phenomena that, maybe we just have to say we can't understand it, but somehow, right, this is as the story goes, right? So that the tomb was empty, Jesus' body could not be found, and then he appeared before the disciples. So like this experience, the fact of the empty tomb, right? That was what enabled Christianity to be born. Because of the story of Easter had ended on Friday, with his crucifixion, right? We can imagine that people said, oh, this was a great prophet maybe who was misunderstood, and then, his life ended. And maybe, some followers in his lifetime, like the disciples, would still have remembered him. But, would they have spread any good news about him? Because, it's all over, right? He died and that's it. But, when this happened and when Jesus appeared to them again, right, that's when they witnessed the miracle and they said, oh, this is really the Son of God. And, if we believe in Jesus, right, then we can have eternal life, right? And it's all because of Easter. And that's why this day is so important in Christianity, right? We can think about the great impact. There's a painting here of, the Pentecost with like the Holy Spirit filled people, right? When Jesus was lifted up to heaven and they started speaking in tongues, right? And then they started speaking about Jesus in all corners of the world, right? And we have, churches everywhere in the world today, right? And, that is an impact that can't be denied. Whatever people may believe about the story being, whatever aspects they think are real or not, you can't deny the impact that it has had, right? You can see how Christianity has spread around the world and, is still there to this day, right? And, of course, we have very personal impact, to us as a unification movement because of what happened to True Father, right? So Reverend San Myung Moon, who we know as True Father, he, loved Jesus so deeply, right? And felt as a young boy, that he wanted to connect to him. And this is an account that was written in the autobiography as a peace-loving global citizen. So I'm just going to read a little bit about what happened that one Easter in 1935, so when he was 15 years old by Western counting. It was the night before Easter in the year I turned 16. I was on Mount Meodu praying all night and begging God in tears for answers. Why had he created a world so filled with sorrow and despair? Why was the all-knowing and all-powerful God leave the world? Why would the all-knowing and all-powerful God leave the world in such pain? What should I do for my tragic homeland? I wept in tears as I asked these questions repeatedly. Right, so again, just like Jesus had a very desperate prayer last night before he died, right? True Father is praying in tears very desperately here, wanting to understand, why is the world the way it is? Why is my homeland of Korea suffering like this? And, what is God doing? An early Easter morning, after I had spent the entire night in prayer, Jesus appeared before me. So this is a painting of that experience. He appeared in an instant like a gust of wind and said to me, God is in great sorrow because of the pain of humankind. You must take on a special mission on earth having to do with heaven's work. Okay, so it was on that Easter Sunday, right, that he got the call to take on this mission, right, to inherit Jesus' mission and continue it. And, that was the beginning, right, of the whole movement that exists today, right? Because he felt this call and he was trying to understand at first, as he said it himself, he did not want to accept this mission, right? Yeah. That day I saw clearly the sorrowful face of Jesus. I heard his voice clearly. The experience of witnessing the manifestation of Jesus caused my body to shake violently like a quaking aspen's leaves trembling in a strong breeze. So it's like, physically, right, he was affected by the experience. And I was simultaneously overcome with fear so great I felt I might die, and gratitude so profound I felt I might explode. Jesus spoke clearly about the work I would have to do. His words were extraordinary, having to do with saving humanity from its suffering and bringing joy to God. My initial response was, I can't do this. How can I do this? Why would you even give me a mission of such paramount importance? I was truly afraid. You must remember, he was just a teenager, just 15 years old, right? Anybody here in the room is a teenager? Yeah, around close to 15, yeah? Okay, right? Imagine that you get that call at this age suddenly, you have to carry on my mission. Jesus appears, to like save all of humankind, right? Yeah, I wanted somehow to avoid this mission, and I clung to the hem of his clothing and wept inconsolably. Right? Jesus was, speaking to him and, telling him so clearly, right, what he should do. And True Father was, he was scared, right? But also filled with gratitude. I thought it was interesting that he mentioned, gratitude so profound I felt I might explode. So it's like a whole mixture of emotions, inside of him at this time. And, this deep and profound experience, must have impacted him to such a degree that it changed his life forever, right? So I'm not going to go into all of True Father's life today, but what we know, right, that there were so many things he had to go through. He was not crucified, but he came close to death several times, right? And he was in prison several times and tortured, and so many things happened to him. But he had this deep, profound experience, and that kept him going, right? And it was his connection to Jesus. So that makes me feel so much gratitude to Jesus, right? Because if it wasn't for what happened in Easter 2,000 years ago, right, we wouldn't have true parents today, right? And we would not be here, all of us, right? And it all started with when Jesus came and what he was able to do for humankind. So that's why this day is so important, right? So thank you to true parents, and thank you to Jesus, and thank you to all of you for being here today. And I hope that we can celebrate this day meaningfully together. And, while we enjoy chocolate and Easter eggs and all the other things, also reflect on, the reason that we have this holiday, right? And what Jesus was able to do for the world. Thank you very much. So at this time, I would like to invite you to reflect, quietly for a minute or two. We can put on some background music. And if you like to offer anything to support our ministries, we will have our ushers passing around offering basket, or you can use the QR code on the screen. Thank you. Most beloved Heavenly Parent, true parents of heaven, earth, and all humankind, we thank you for the offerings that have been given by our hardworking brothers and sisters, your precious sons and daughters, Heavenly Parent. And we pray that these funds can be used to do your will, Heavenly Parent, and to carry out your providence and continue on the work of our true parents that has been laid based on the foundation of what Jesus did 2,000 years ago. we thank you so much for everybody here, and we humbly offer all these things to you in attendance to Holy Mother Han with gratitude in my name, Natashia Phillips of the Phillips Blessner family, Jew. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So I'm back up here again for announcement time. All right. Oh, yes. The first thing is the pictures. All right. So, I've been saying it a few Sundays in a row that on the 19th, we're going to do a young family gathering and Easter egg hunt. So that happened yesterday. And we were lucky that it was a nice day, right? It was overcast but warm, no rain. So we were able to use the field outside. So, across the parking lot right there is a big empty field that just doesn't get used. So I just thought, why not, we can just use it. So, we had several young families. Actually, it was one of our biggest groups yet, I think. Like, quite a few people showed up. And, oh, wait, this is a different picture. This is from a different event. Okay. Here we go. That's the field, right? So you can't even tell, where the eggs are from a distance because the grass was high enough that they were hidden, until you walk right up to them. So the kids had fun running around, and here they are, looking up what's in their eggs. That's them running around the beginning. Yeah. We did ready, set, go. So that's the picture of when they start running. So yeah, my husband and I prepared it. So we put in chocolates and some candies and little toys. That's our group. Yeah, we even had the oldest son of the Millers visiting from New Jersey, Godfrey, the oldest brother of Roderick and Alexia. So he was there too. Their kids are already a little older, 12 and 15, but yeah, we're happy to have them join us. So it was a really fun time. Yeah, that was the last picture. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if anything else to add. We also ate here together and we did a craft. So next time I hope we can make it even bigger and we can continue doing, family events. If you ever have any suggestion for something, always happy to hear your opinions or suggestions. The next upcoming event we have is this coming Saturday, which is classical yoga, right? So I do have the printed out sheet on the desk. So please, you can sign up there if you're coming next Saturday, and it'll be at 10 a.m. Okay, and we will have the chairs cleared away, and we'll set out. Well, you should bring your own, ideally, yoga mat on the floor here, and you can also bring a little pillow or a cushion for support, right, to sit on. And wear some comfortable clothing or loose clothes that you can move around in. It's not the yoga where you're just, sitting and meditating. You're also moving around, right? But yeah, our wonderful sister Ishwari is leading this. She is offering it to our community, at no cost. So I hope you'll take advantage of it. I'm sure, all ages can benefit, right? So I hope you can make it. But only 20 people can come, so you got to sign up to make sure you have a spot, okay? And this will be once a month, so it's going to become a regular thing here. Okay, so I don't have a flyer, but I have a map here of our picnic location. So I have mentioned already that we're going to do on May 4th our 1-year anniversary celebration, right, for Nova Center, and the park that I picked is the Lake Ridge Park, or it's also called Lake Ridge Marina and Golf Course. It's in the Woodbridge area. So I know for families who live in that area, that's great. Others, maybe it's a longer drive for you. I'm sorry. But I hope you can make it. We'll make it worth your while, okay? Because we're going to have a lot of fun there. There will be, some short message, but also testimonies. We want to do testimonies of experiences and starting up this Nova Center and just, celebrating the 1 year. And I think we also have lots to celebrate. We also want to celebrate, all of those who have contributed to the opening of the Chonwon-gung and, so many things in the past year that we have been, devoting our time to and our efforts. So just want to give a big thank you to everyone. And we'll also make it fun, right? We want to make it a barbecue. There'll be grills. And we hope that people can bring some side dishes, and we'll have the meats provided, and have some games and activities. Remember last fall, if you were there, we did a few games at that picnic. So, yeah, want to do something like that again. So I hope you will be able to make it. I'll have a proper, fun-looking flyer next time. Just didn't design that yet. Okay. And right after service today, we have after lunch, actually, so at 1 p.m., we have the Her Tribe monthly gathering. So this is open to all women to join as a sisterhood to share together. It's a 1-hour program from 1 to 2. And yeah, so that's it for our upcoming events. Oh, except next Sunday, I just want to mention, obviously we've had some brothers and sisters returned from Korea. And maybe you can raise your hand, anybody who was in Korea and has returned already. You want to just, hello, welcome, welcome back. We're so happy that you came back safely. And yeah, we also have more people who are still coming back, right, from our community who still have not arrived yet. So I'm hoping that next week, instead of a regular sermon, we can hear some testimonies from people's experiences, okay? Some people I've already talked to, some not yet, so you'll be hearing from me. So I hope that you can, share in your own words some of your experiences. And, for those of us who were not there, right, we can get a glimpse of what it was like to be in Korea. And actually, Dr. Seelig brought a couple of victory cakes, celebration cakes, all the way from Korea. Thank you so much. So, yeah, give him a hand. Thank you. So we'll get to share those today. And there's somebody else who wanted to give a special present to someone and had asked if he can do it on stage. So I'd like to invite up our brother Bernardo Herrera. He has, I'll let him explain, but he has a special gift to present. Oh, hi, son. You're here for the special presentation. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Hi, Ellie. We're almost done. Are you excited for cake? Yes. Here you go.
Can you please come to stage? Yes. My bicentennial leader. That I'll call him the bicentennial, 200 years. He was my leader for Arlington. And he doesn't remember, but he said, have faith, pray, and don't come back if you don't bring one guest. He doesn't remember that. In any case, I got a medal of the bicentennial, glittered in gold and Ruthenian, so that I want to present to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we worked together back in 1976 at the time of the Washington Monument campaign. And I forgot much of it, what we did, but he still remembers that point. Never come back to Church Center unless you have a guest who promised to come to Washington Monument. I don't remember that, but he clearly remembers it. So he thinks I was a samurai leader. But anyway.
You should look at the picture. He looked like this. He's missing the sword.
At that time, he was very young. I remember him very clearly. Young, handsome boy. No wonder his children are all look handsome. And so I told him about a week ago, well, you are very handsome at the time. maybe now you look just a little less handsome. But today I
Thank
told
you.
him that you still look very handsome. He was so happy to hear that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think that's so nice to honor and give gratitude to somebody. So 1976 was the 200th anniversary, right, of United States, and next year is the 250th, so that'll be another big one. And actually, I'm very proud of that now because I wanted to just share with you all that last Monday I passed a naturalization test, and this Wednesday, the 23rd, I'm doing an oath ceremony in Fairfax, so to become a citizen. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Yeah, my family will be there with me, so then I can also celebrate with everybody, as an American. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, we have one more celebration before we end today, and that's the April birthdays. So if I can ask someone to bring out the cake, or my husband maybe. Oh, Tsurue, thank you. So I did not bake this one this time, sorry, but it's still a delicious cake. So if anybody has a birthday in the month of April, could you come forward and we can sing together? April birthdays, don't be shy. We're not going to bite you. It's something good. There you go. Okay, wow, we have quite a few people. There we go. Actually, could you tell us which day your birthday was, if you don't mind?
April 9th.
Okay.
April the 26th.
April 3rd.
April 19th.
April 9th.
Wow, very nice. All right, so let's sing happy birthday to everybody. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, brothers and sisters. Happy birthday to you. Woo! All right, you can blow out together the candle. Yay. Okay. And you could also, if you can, hold the knife together and make cuts, 2 cuts. Go ahead. No. Okay. All right, thank you. Happy birthday, everybody. Thank you. So we'll enjoy the cake together with our lunch prepared by a wonderful Korean team for us today. Thank you. But before we have lunch, we'll have one closing song. So I'd like to invite our band back up for one more performance. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, you're right. Do you want to say hello?
Good morning. I know your family. Oh, yeah.
What's your name?
My name is Naka. I live in Chicago area. This time I just visited Dr. Simio and then had a long conversation. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for pointing out. Is there anybody else who's visiting? I think. Okay, great. All right, let's welcome our band.
Okay, if everyone please rise and join us in our last song, Till All My People Are One. Stand together for what you believe. Work for what must be done. Help each other in all that you do. Till all my people are one. all my people. Till all my people are one. Till all my people are one. Okay, thank you all. So please join me in a closing prayer to close our service. Our dearest beloved Heavenly Parents and Jew parents, we thank you for this lovely Easter that we had to gather together and to reflect and to think about the sacrifice that Jesus has done for us to really save us spiritually and to restore that salvation, and to also reflect on how true parents came on this earth to continue on Jesus' mission for him, and that I pray that we can be able to really keep celebrating, not only focus on the sadness of the sacrifice that both true parents and Jesus has went through, but I hope that we can share this new beginning and be grateful for the salvation that we have received. So I pray at this time that we can join fellowship together with the lovely meal prepared by the Korean team, and I'm really grateful for all our brothers and sisters who came together here at this time, and I pray with gratitude in my name, Natashia, daughter of a blessed Jew family, in attendance to our Holy Mother Han. Amen. Aju. Okay, thank you all, and have a good Sunday and happy Easter.